Hello and welcome everybody to the July 25th regular meeting of Town Council. So we'll start off with the adoption of the agenda. I'll be looking for a motion. Councillor Lemko makes the motion. Is there any additions or deletions to the agenda? Seeing none, all those in favor? Carried. Next up will be adoption of our last minutes of our last regular council meeting. Councillor Berry makes that motion. Any errors or omissions within those minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor? Carried. Okay, first up, we have a delegation from the Vegreville Junior B Rangers Hockey Club, and Lane Stefan and Ryan Rawawa are here to make a presentation to us, and thank you both for coming in, and we're all ears right now. It's all you.
I'll go first.
Thank you, Lane.
All right, I'm Lane Stefan. I'm the Vice President of the Rangers, and today we're here with a few, I guess, asks or requests of, and a little bit of history of the Rangers. So, the Vegreville Junior B Rangers were a hockey team that started back in 1974 in this community, running a non-profit organization and allowing for natural progression of young kids to keep playing hockey after their minor hockey days expired. Our nonprofit organization runs on community support and volunteer efforts and has been with great success to have our players be model citizens, mentors, and committed athletes in our community where young kids from within our community in minor hockey can look up to the Rangers and as a potential destination to continue playing hockey at a higher level. We don't guarantee scholarships, nor do we make false promises to any players. We simply provide an environment and work alongside these young kids to allow them a place to socialize, enjoy fellowship, act like kids, and play more hockey. Our organization goals align perfectly with the town of Vegreville's mission, vision, and core values. We hope these kids will choose to stay as part of our community and grow roots in the town and in the area and give back to the community that supported them. So the Junior Bees have committed to play again in the Northeast League for this upcoming year. We have committed to work closely with the Vegreville Minor Hockey Association, and Ryan will give us some more information there for you guys. To make this a sustainable program for our future Rangers, one thing we don't want to do is go back, and we said this to the league, and then fold again, right? So, fold's the wrong word. We didn't fold. We just took a break. But the executive from the Rangers has grown with new members and fresh ideas and already has an open communication pathway with the minor hockey executive. So today, the Rangers are writing to express their needs for the Junior Bees to operate for the 22-23 season, utilizing the Wally Fadoon Arena in Vegreville. The Junior Bee Rangers executive has recently tried to gather information regarding the use of the facility and have not been successful with a lot of detail, although it's coming along. So we have a few requests that in no particular order here. So in the past years, the Junior B Rangers Hockey Club has worked closely with the town of Vegreville and got the much needed support in utilizing the advertising dollars from the arena boards. The arena boards still have most of the same business advertising that the Junior Bees paid for in terms of signage. This funding is a critical part in operating the nonprofit program annually. The Junior B Rangers are asking for an operating grant of $30,000 for the 22-23 season, which aligns with the historical value received from the advertising portion from the town of Vegreville. So that's our first one. The next one, which we've know that we're after, in recent years, the ice has been put in and available for us somewhere near the end of August. We are asking for the town of Vegreville to have the ice available for us for the long weekend in September so we can run our planned camp. Otherwise, the ice is booked, and then we are going to end up in the third week of September, which puts us at a disadvantage. Also, in recent years, the arena has allowed storage space for the Junior B Rangers in location within the facility, such as under the bleachers, storage arena, and room 2, upstairs in the area of the northeast corner, where other storage locations are. Can the town of Vegreville offer the Rangers similar space for storage use for the 22-23 season? And lastly, we are asking to gather all the users of the facility to have a group discussion to allow for clarity on what everyone needs are to operate and required use of the facility so that everybody can be enjoyable for all when the hockey season gets underway. Now we're going to have some more financials and some more to do with minor hockey, so Ryan is going to step up and chat on that.
You can,
I'll just leave the financials after for you guys to read. Okay. So I'm Ryan Warwa, and part of the Junior B Rangers coming to the Vegreville Minor Hockey Association to help run to bring it along is part of the synergies that we have from both groups. We're also, a lot of us are on both executives trying to help out to get this up and running. We've had an outpouring of support from a lot of the kids that are looking for an affordable place to play hockey after their minor hockey career is completed. So that's part of the reason why we started up bringing it back. The only reason the Junior Bs were down for the last 2 years is basically from COVID. I think there's 3 or 4 teams out for those 2 years. So the league is starting back up more full again, and we're just trying to get it back running for the kids that are left around here that want to play some good hockey at affordable prices and stay in the community. It's mostly community kids and surrounding areas. So it's a local team. So I'll just leave the Dale wants to.
Sure, I got that for you.
And then you can pass out our financials. So
okay.
I don't know if you guys have any questions for us or.
Well, we'll start. Does anybody have anything they need clarified about the Junior B program, the way it has operated in the past and what their ask is today? I wouldn't know that everybody here was so well aware of how it operated in the past.
We're an open book.
So I just want to make a statement. You guys know that the arrangements with the advertising and stuff is no longer in place with the news advertiser and the way that was all structured.
Yeah, no, so that's part of our ask is how could we continue to get funding that we desperately need to run buses and as you'll see in our financials that paid for a lot of ice fees and a lot of busing trips that we need. So traditionally it was 31,000 that we were getting from advertising, and we paid 20% back to the Vegreville advertiser. It was about 7,500, I believe it is. So roughly, I guess, left us about $18,000 roughly. So we desperately need some of that money to continue to make a successful operation.
I just wanted you guys to make sure everybody's well aware of the fact that agreement is no longer in place.
We know.
And it was structured a long time ago the way it was set up. So we take care of our own sponsorship situations now. We don't have anybody out of the town that's involved.
Okay. But correct me if I'm wrong, but it hasn't been utilized the last 2 years, right? Like, because nobody's been really looking after the.
No, basically the town has had a reduction on price based on the availability of advertisers to get their money's worth because there's not a lot of people going into the arena and because of COVID and stuff. Mm-hmm. So the price was reduced on the signage that was there because of that. Because for everybody just to pull out and lose those contacts. And some did. Some of the ones said, no, we're not involved anymore. So we have to find out exactly where we're at with the sponsorship program ourselves, and we got to start figuring out who's going to be back and who isn't, and maybe it's up to us to go find new people. We don't have an outsource, anybody outside the organization outselling them or anything like that anymore.
Well, we're, as a Junior B organization, we're willing to take that on for, if we can give back the 20% back to the town and continue. A lot of that signage was already paid for by the Vegreville Junior B organization. So a lot of it's still up there that we've paid for already. So it's basically just to go out and solicit the businesses that are there now. And we are prepared to do that rather than the grant.
Yeah, I'll guarantee we're not going to ever go into a second party deal with anybody selling advertising in any of our facilities.
That's fair enough.
I mean, it just become too convoluted. There was just too many different angles. And
yeah, no, fair enough. Yeah.
But I appreciate you saying that. Go ahead, Councillor Ward.
So Ryan, I know one of the things, it's not in here, so I was just kind of wondering what you guys are thinking. You're asking about storage space. I know it's a little bit of a challenge with dressing rooms because it's a little different situation. What would your need be with the dressing room as far as, I think in the past in conversation with Joe, it was kind of like at least one dressing room when you're starting, and then if there's another team that's beside you getting out, you'd need the second one later. Like, what are you guys kind of wanting on the dressing room space?
You want to answer that?
We would like our room.
Come up here.
obviously we can't get the other room, so we would like room 1 and 2, if possible. Because there's lots of equipment, there's lots of, stuff going on that we have to move an extra room during game day. Because you get 20 to 22 big guys in there, there's no room. So we would like to have, we're assuming room 1 and 2.
But you weren't looking for exclusively just at your time, is that right?
Well, we assume, yes, because we assume with the shortage of rooms, there's no way you guys can just give us a room.
Yeah.
It'd be great if you could.
It never
Don't get me
really
wrong.
was but there's a closet in that, in 1 and 2, there's a closet where the sweaters and the sticks and stuff stayed, always, and then there was storage underneath the bleachers.
Yeah,
That's the way that the junior B's operated for storage before.
Yeah, that's correct, and that's all we're asking for, is just so we have somewhere to storage
some
jerseys.
sort that we know
And
that
our-
that's our spot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
Makes sense, okay.
It's a bit of a challenge hanging jerseys. They need to dry out and stuff, right? But
Yeah.
yeah, just we have some room, because I think room 2 has storage.
Yep.
I recall,
Yeah, that's been the jersey room forever.
forever, yeah.
Yeah. And there's sticks and stuff in there. Hopefully no hockey gear spends the 3 or 4 days in there, but especially if it's goalie gear, then it gets kind of bad, but.
I know about that.
Okay, does anybody else have any questions about what their ask is and, okay. So, just to be clear, are you guys charging a fee for players to play?
yes, we are.
Okay.
So basically, it's to cover their pant shells.
Yeah.
And their equipment that we provide them, so that, and a little bit of extra.
I mean, that's pretty much the norm no matter where. You're,
But it's, we went to $1,200, I think we said we were.
Something like that. I mean, in the past, it was very, Curtis played junior B and my boy played junior B, and it was pretty minimal, but we found out that obviously you can't do that anymore. Even junior A teams started to charge kids for certain things.
AJ, they charge you.
Exactly, so we need to up that substantially, which we are, around 1,200, yeah, so, yeah.
Okay, I don't have any other questions. Anybody else? Okay, well, thank you guys for coming in.
Perfect.
And, I just want you to be aware that there's something going on when, the week before you guys want the ice. And we are trying to find out if we can have the ice in, but it means we may have to outsource some, company to come in here and get everything running. So I just want you guys to know that we've already started looking into, but it may not be possible. I just so you know that.
So there's another function other than the fair?
There is something else that'll be going on. But we're looking into it right now to see what we can do. So you may get a lot of answers in the next couple of days, and then hopefully we'll get a little more information about the startup on the plant, because they're not as just throwing on a switch, and
No,
we need to babysit it and stuff too, so.
Yeah, I mean, one thing, we're obviously advertising our camp, right, so.
Now, that was not on us. I want you
No, I know, I
both to know
understand.
that,
We were-
because
we were also-
I've heard some things in the community I wasn't happy about, that they said that it was on the town, but it was not on us.
no, but we were also told we could have that weekend.
Can you tell me who told you that?
Yes, we had the meeting with Director Phil,
And he said that the ice would be ready for that weekend before you advertised.
yes.
Okay,
That's why we advertised the way we did.
okay.
We didn't just advertise for no reason at all.
So, but I guess that aside, I mean, when you guys decide what you're, we need to obviously advertise the correct date, so.
Yeah, we're working hard. We're trying to do it. Well, find out what we can find it, and as soon as we can confirm it and that it's feasible for us to do it, we're gonna get back to you on that as quick as we can.
Yeah, because I do believe minor hockey skated last year at September 3rd. So it's not something that's out of the norm that we've asking for like a month early. It has been done.
Well, the thing
If
is-
there is something put in, like if you are doing something before, well, that's understandable.
Well, when you need to book companies to come out and fire your ice plant up,
Yeah.
and they need to babysit it too, right? They have to be here to watch it as it's getting ready. So this is the thing about the booking on it. So about bringing a external company in on it and stuff. But we're gonna let you know as soon as we can. I just want you guys to be upfront, know that upfront. That, I mean, it's not just controlled by us, it's controlled by another source that we have to bring in.
Yeah, and same, I volunteer them in there, and same thing. They come start the plant up and we do our stuff. And I know it doesn't, not turn the key and walk away. So we do know that there's lots of work to do to get the plant ready and up and running.
Okay, good, as long as we're on the same page there.
Yep, completely on the same page.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, well, thank you both.
Thank you.
And good luck with the season. I mean, I'm glad to see Junior B back. It's been a program that's been a pretty staple in this community for a long time, so. Okay. Okay. Up next, Director Saskew.
Thank you, Your Worship. So this is the monthly cash statement for the month ended June 30th, 2022. We started the month with 8.79 million between general account and investments, and ended the month with 3.31 million. So this is largely due to tax revenue in the month, but I'll go through some of the details. So major sources of cash also included MSI capital grant, which was 621,000. And then in regards to property taxes received, we had at June 30th outstanding 1.68 million net of tip. So there's only about 17% of property taxes remaining to be paid that are sort of say in arrears, because tax installment program, they pay monthly dues. So those are expected to be collected by the end of December. So that's actually great. It's nice to see a small portion, and remember, grants in place of taxes are also included in there. Major uses of cash, Excalibur and MPE Engineering for the Prosperity Park, in total about $200,000. There were debenture payments of $205,000 and education requisitions in the amount of $512,000. So it's a very busy month in June. And that's all I've got.
Okay, any questions? Go ahead, Councillor Riddick.
Thank you, Director Saskew. You were very polite how you stated that, but can you just explain again the 17% that's outstanding?
Yes.
How much is actual residential and non-residential excluding the province of Alberta?
I know, I was thinking that as I said it out loud
Sorry.
that I should have calculated that. I do not have that in front of me right now, because that I was like, oh, that would have been good to know. But a large portion of what's remaining outstanding is grants in place of taxes.
You would probably say it's close to 70%.
Yeah.
Okay, because I can do the math in my head.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's 1.2 or 1.3 million that is grants in place of taxes.
73.5% is.
Yeah. So it's a good chunk.
And, sorry, a follow-up question to that then would be, is there an expected timeline that the province would be paying? Because of course, they're not paying any of the overdue charges that average citizens and businesses have to.
No, and other than 2 years prior where they take a very long time to pay us, it has most of the times been paid prior to December 31st. So the last year, maybe two, they've paid us before the end of the year, so that we didn't have it on the books at year end, like that 1 year where we didn't meet the financial indicator. So I think they got some pushback from that. So now their goal is always to pay by December 31st, so to say.
I thought it was kind of odd that we brought it up at, what was AUMA then, and now Alberta Munis. We brought it up, a couple of us, and asked other municipalities. They said, no, that they always pay on time, and that was kind of, because we were past we were into the new year,
Yeah.
and they'd give us a lower grade, and we thought, well, that doesn't make any sense. So we brought it up, and like most municipalities in the room said, no, we don't have any problems. They always pay us on time.
V's near the end of the alphabet.
Maybe.
Well, when I first
Hey,
started,
Vegreville, we're gonna change the name.
a Vegreville.
when I first started, they paid before June 30th of every year. So like in 2018, they were paying on time.
Okay.
And then they moved to December, and then that 1 year they waited until the new year, which gave us that bad grade. And the last 2 years they've paid middle to end of December.
Well, as a standing agenda item, when we meet with our elected official, I'd love to have that on there, because I don't know that it's our job to continue to support the province's coffers when we have our own bills to pay, and we've got a lot of things that we're doing right now.
Yeah. And we don't earn interest in that amount of time either.
And they shouldn't earn interest off of not paying us, because nobody else is allowed to do that.
Right.
Okay, any other questions for Director Saskew? If no one else does, I'll take a motion for to adopt the report. Councillor Curtis makes the motion. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Next, CAO Leggett.
Thank you, Your Worship. The topic here is the approval in principle for the RCMP Vegreville Municipal Detachment Multi-Year Financial Plan. The proposal is to authorize the mayor and council to sign for approval in principle of the RCMP Vegreville Municipal Detachment Multi-Year Plan. Background: the multi-year financial plan has been prepared by the Alberta RCMP in consultation with the town of Vegreville and pursuant to Article 17.1 of the Municipal Police Services Agreement, MPSA. This plan is for the financial year starting on April 1st, 2023, and covers a period of 5 years. The cost-sharing agreement under the MPSA indicates that a municipality with a population between 5,000 and 14,999 pays 70% of the costs, and the federal government pays 30%. Providing and maintaining the services each fiscal year includes operation and maintenance costs such as salaries, benefits, and indirect costs, transportation and equipment, professional services, repairs, utilities, supplies, and miscellaneous operational expenses. There are no anticipated resource increases expected in the coming years, as call volumes have remained relatively static during the prior 5-year period. The RCMP does not negotiate salary increases. For your planning purposes going forward, the RCMP is recommending including a pay increase planning figure of 3% based on recent monetary policy from the Bank of Canada. Financial implications. The annual estimate of pooled costs and location-specific costs for the town of Vegreville for 2022/23, based on a working member FTE utilization of 8, is estimated to be $1.251 million. The estimated quarterly invoice payments for 2022-2023 are $312,794. The recommendation is that council authorize the mayor to sign for approval in principle, acknowledging our support for the above multi-year plan and the 2022-23 FTE utilization target, forecast, and quarterly invoice amount.
Yeah. Thank you. So we'll take a motion for this approval of this financial plan. Councillor Warren makes the motion. Any conversation? Okay, well, I can tell everybody right now that from last year to this year's increases are gonna probably be about at least a 2% tax increase. And by going through the additions of new equipment and some changes to the camera systems, to the weapons and stuff moving forward, we'll be looking at the next 5 years in this plan, another 1% increase every year to cover off the bill. So, I mean, taxpayers better be ready for it, and I don't think we can cut any more of operations than what we've had in the last 4 years here. So we just gotta start passing some of this on. So in the next 5 years in this plan, it's probably looking like a cost of taxpayers under 7% just to keep the service that we have today. So, Councillor Rudick?
I think we're all hesitant to endorse the payment of this plan because there's a lot of implications in here that in principle we disagree with. Just as an added piece of information, I have forwarded this on to FCM just so that they're aware, because we're starting to receive other bills or expectation for payment. And for everybody's information here too, that there was a resolution that was passed in March at our Board of Directors meetings about RCMP body-worn cameras. And just for your information, I'll just read part of this letter that the issue is part of a larger systemic problem. New unbudgeted policing costs are being downloaded to municipalities without consultation or a seat at the table. FCM appreciates Minister Mendicino's engagement to discuss solutions on the impact of RCMP retroactive costs, as well as engaging in broader conversations about the broader future of contract policing. FCM is calling on the federal government to absorb the costs associated with the deployment and operation of body-worn cameras for RCMP officers and ensure that these costs are not downloaded to municipal contract partners. So just for your information, that's also part of our advocacy, and we're looking forward to this issue continuing to be raised across the country because we're not the only ones that are receiving these bills.
Okay, any other comments? Go ahead, Councillor Barry.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, I guess personally, I wish I could just say don't sign it, but I know as a councillor we have to move forward and maintain a police force in town. I find it very difficult as a counselor, and as this council has for the last 2 terms, work diligently to try and keep taxes down, and then an outside source can just immediately take that all away and force us to start looking at increasing taxes for no real achievement within the town. It's just to continue to pay for an overpriced commodity of policing because we're a town of more than 5,000 population. So I just, it's depressing to me when I see that we have no voice in these matters, that Ottawa controls it all. But I guess I have to vote in favor of it. Thank you.
Okay. Well, again, I don't think that anybody here has a problem with the RCMP. I mean, through discussions that we've all had, and a few of us were on call with the Minister, the Solicitor General, the Minister of Justice, Minister Sandro, last week, and he's telling us that the federal government's getting out of police services in the next 10 years, and that's why they want to move to the provincial model where they have a provincial police. So I would imagine the cost, the overruns there compared to where we are now will probably be about the same in 10 years anyway. But that being said, not that we have a problem with the RCMP here in town, we have a problem with the justice system, and if they would start putting criminals in jail, then we probably would have a lot better feel for what's going on in our community, and not just our community, it's every community in this country. But it is what it is, and this is a part of the municipality's agreement under the Police Act that we need to sign this, so, and just hopefully the citizens understand that in the next 5 years, that around 8% increase in the next 5 years is coming directly on the policing side, so. So we have a motion to pass this plan. So I'll call the question. All those in favor? That was the shortest hand raise we've seen from everybody. Nobody was waving. Carried. So Sandra, I guess there's an official one that I'll need to sign. Okay, well, we'll get to that later. Okay, thank you, CAO Leggett. And who's doing the bylaw? Oh, you're still up. Okay.
Me again.
Let her rip.
Thank you, Your Worship. So this is a little bit of a lengthy one, but we're proposing some changes to fee structures and costs, so bear with me, Council, while I read through it. So the topic is to amend bylaw, the fees and charges bylaw. The background, the annual fees and charges bylaw is passed at the December council meeting to allow for the fees and charges to come into effect on January 1st of the budgeted year. Circumstances can arise that require a second look at fees and charges throughout the budget year that may constitute a change in the amount of revenue the town collects. The following schedules have been reviewed and require changes in staff's opinion. Schedule E, the building permit fees. The town of Vegreville has held a contract with the Inspections Group, Inc. for their safety code services for buildings, plumbing, gas, and electrical disciplines since 2004. The town, along with the service from TIG, have maintained a good standing accreditation with the Safety Codes Council due to the working relationship between us, as well as the care and attention from TIG. The town administers the building permit applications, and the inspections group completes plan reviews and inspections to ensure that the builds, at a minimum, meet the Alberta Building Code requirements. The building permit fees are split 75% inspection group and 25% town. Planning and Development are proposing an increase of 5% for all permit fees, as well as an addition of a fee for variance requests and an addition of a fee for a permit extension request. The last fee increase was in 2015. Schedule J, dog fees and charges. In April of 2022, the responsible pet ownership bylaw was approved and adopted by Town Council. This bylaw requires us to update Schedule J for the dog fees and charges. We propose that Schedule J also be renamed Animal Fees and Charges to include the new fees for cats. A reminder that the cat license is optional unless a cat has been seized or caught at large. Schedule K, fire fees and charges. The following charges are being increased in line with provincial rates. The town of Vegreville has not adjusted these fees since 2018. Section 9, motor vehicle incidents, command unit, and per unit hour, and note the fees there, as well as the hazardous material responses with two similar new fees. The financial implications for the Schedule E, at the end of May, the total building permit fees amount was $20,182, split as noted there between the town and TIG. The additional 5% would have totaled an additional almost $1,010. There is an average of one variance and one permit extension request every 2 years. Schedule J, the town has an average of 85 dog tags issued for the last 3 years, and to date, 59 licenses have been issued. This amended schedule now includes the new fees and charges that are required in the responsible pet ownership bylaw. And then Schedule K, the increase of $5 per hour is minimal and will help offset the expense of fuel for the vehicles. Communication strategy, both the Planning and Development Department and Community Services will work with the Communications Department to have a notice of the amended fees and charges posted to the website and social media. In addition, Planning and Development will email this notice directly to some of the larger contractors in town that get multiple building permits each year. The recommendation that Town Council proceed with all three readings of Bylaw 13-2022, 2022 Fees and Charges Amendment Bylaw.
Okay. Take a motion for the recommendation. Councilor Bullock makes the motion. Any questions? Okay, I'll need a motion for the first reading on the number 13, 2022, 2022 Fees and Charges Amended Bylaw. Councilor Berry makes the motion for the first reading. All those in favor? Carried. Yes, motion for second reading on that same bylaw. Councilor Curtis makes the motion. All those in favor? Carried. I'll need a motion for unanimous consent on that. Councilor Lemko makes the motion. All in favor? Carried. And finally, third and final reading on the amended bylaw on the fees and charges schedule. Councilor Warwa. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you very much. Okay. Now we're going to move on to council reports. And we're going to start with Councilor Warwa.
Thank you, Your Worship. I had a very light time, only the legislative meeting on the 5th, and then, of course, tonight's council meeting. My one in between was the meeting with Minister Chandro and MLA Jackie Armstrong-Hominick. And I do appreciate the opportunities to meet with them. However, I still find that we seem to have a disconnect as to how we're actually addressing some of these problems we're facing with rural crime, because I understand that some things are out of our control provincially, and I just don't know that we're hearing how or what's going to make a change for that. So it's very difficult, and I guess I'm watching to see how some more of the policing stuff rolls forward as well, because I think I left with a few more questions than I had going into it. And that's all I got.
Okay. Thank you, Councilor Lemko.
Thanks, Your Worship. I too had a light schedule. July 5th, the Ledge meeting, as well as that evening was the Corn Maze Committee meeting where we move forward and get plans in place for the upcoming Corn Maze. July 8th was the PV Mart grand opening. On July 11th, I attended the Vegreville Area Stands with Ukraine Committee meeting, and shout out to all those committee members and people who volunteer out there and continue to do the background work to create a safe place for the displaced Ukrainians who come to our community. So kudos to them and the amount of work they do. July 20th, I brought greetings on behalf of the mayor and council to the Texas 4000 who rode in through town and made a stop here at the fire hall. And kudos to the fire department. Since 2015, they have been gracious hosts for these university kids traveling from Texas, doing 4,000 miles from Texas all the way to Alaska, raising funds for cancer. And the fire department puts on a meal for them, a supper and a breakfast. They also provide them with some entertainment in the area of cutting up vehicles and spring water, and give me a place to sleep, a place to wash their clothes, and a place to rest. So kudos to them, and thanks again for that. and tonight's council meeting.
Thank you very much. Councillor Barry.
Thank you, Your Worship. On the 5th, Vegreville Community Health Service Awareness Meeting. I find it quite interesting to see the different components and sharing what is taking place around the community. I'm still trying to catch up with it because even some of their acronyms go over my head, but I'm getting there. On the 5th of July, also a ledge meeting, followed by the Corn Maze Committee meeting. And I'll just add that I've spent most of my month out of town at the Corn Maze. Actually, the corn actually is coming along pretty good this year. And we're getting a little bit of moisture at the right time. And been cutting more trails than usual, so I think the kids are going to find it a little more challenging this year. So I hope they come out in droves. On the 8th, the PV Mart grand opening, and I thought that was a very good opening. It's a very impressive store now. And then on the 8th as well, I call it a classic car day. And there were some, down at the Egg Park, there were some very, very nice cars that come pulling into there. I put the wrong date here, the Indotech Field Day on the 21st. Again, I'm always amazed at the science that they're doing out there and the research and the various plots and how detailed they go into working on hemp and canola in particular. It's a great facility, and we should be very proud to have some of these scientists in this town doing some of the incredible work that they do. And in tonight's council meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Burdick.
Thank you, Your Worship. It's been a busy month. I'll just focus on some of these things. July 1st and 2nd, I was happy to bring greetings to the 49th annual Pisinka Festival on behalf of the Mayor and Council, and see that the grounds, the campgrounds, the beer gardens, the halls were full of people near and far that were happy to come together and celebrate their Ukrainian heritage, as well as be able to welcome those that have come recently and some that have come on the very first ships that came from Ukraine. So it was a great opportunity to showcase Vegreville, and Vegreville did a great job of welcoming all kinds of visitors, as well as making sure that those displaced persons that are newest to Canada feel welcomed and attached to the community. On the Saturday, the July 2nd, there was a brunch, and again, a great opportunity to be able to make connections between literally people that had arrived within days from Ukraine. And the situation has gotten drastically worse, so big appreciation to all of those volunteers on Vegreville and area Stands with Ukraine for continuing to fundraise and support the families that are here. July 4th, I was happy to attend the funding announcement of Premier Kenny's at the Ukrainian Village and bring along one of our local families who is anxiously awaiting the materialization of some of the promises that were made for family supports. So again, a great opportunity to be able to see in action some of the decisions that are being made are affecting real people, and look forward to seeing what that looks like moving forward. July 6th, I tuned into Minister Chandro and MLA Armstrong Hominiuk's meeting. Sorry, I lost you at the end, so I didn't get the final comments, but again, interesting to hear the current reasons for advocating for a provincial police force include the assertion that the federal government is no longer interested in contract policing, which is a very specific argument that I have not heard frequently or often except at that meeting. So I look forward to continue to advocate for our community safety needs, because I'm not sure that we were able to accurately express all of our concerns. On July 21st, I was happy to attend Indotech Field Day and had some very interesting guests there, and again, made some good connections. It's always gratifying to see what kind of impact that research has on the real world. I think the figure that they gave is, for example, canola is $3 trillion, And so the amount of research that they do there, or even any kind of increase or decrease in the productivity for farming, is significant. So if $3 trillion add to our Canadian budget is affected at all, it makes a big deal. So the research that they're doing there is significant, and hemp as a emerging, burgeoning sector of the agricultural economy, we're looking forward to adding that to our local economy as well. So happy to see some of our local players and also some future relationships being struck there. That evening, I was happy to be at the Pissinka Park Market with the library board, doing outreach with the community. It was a great day to be out, talking about what's happening at the library for young families, as well as those that are maybe a little grayer in the hair. And July 22nd, I joined some of the local health professionals attraction retention committee to talk to Red Deer Polytechnic, which is a new name, as well as the healthcare aid program, the graduates from last year. And just quickly turning around a new flexible registration model similar to what was offered last year for students in the area, added to the provincial bursary that's available for those that are studying a healthcare aid program will be a big benefit. 50% of the graduates were already hired at the Vegreville Care Centre here in town from last year's graduate, and that was a real challenging year because it sort of switched midstream because of the number of registrants and still COVID happening. And so we're looking forward to offering that to local students as well. And today we welcomed the Northern Lights Library Systems, welcomed a little 1950s fridge to the Elk Kinsman Park. So I encourage each of you to go out there. If you're not going to take out a book, maybe put one in. There's a little library right in front of the Visitor Information Center. And according to the staff out there, it took less than 10 minutes for somebody to open it up and take something out. So there are a number of books that will be available for anybody in the area, and it'll be there till August 15th. So that's my report.
Well, good on them for making it of an old fridge. It's hard to walk by a fridge without opening it and taking something.
You're going to feed your mind.
Whoa, good job. Thank you. Councillor Bullock.
Okay, on July 5th, our legislative committee meeting. On the 5th as well, I did attend the Vegreville Corn Maze meeting as a volunteer. Plans are underway for that. On the 8th, I attended as well the PV Mart grand opening. Interesting to see them cut the barbed wire and then comment on how expensive that little chunk of barbed wire is. Also, a little thing I've forgotten here, attended the Vegreville Speedway drag races this weekend as a volunteer there as well. Good to see that they're having racing out there, keeping it off the streets, so to speak, keeping the community safer by doing that. On the 21st, Alberta Innotech Field Day 2022. Found it really interesting, all the different varieties of hemp, which was really neat, and what they can do with the herd and different uses for that coming up. So that's really interesting. And we're looking at tonight's town council meeting. That's that.
Thank you very much. Councillor Curtis.
Thank you. For me, Ledge meeting on July 5th, and then the Alberta Provincial Policing meeting on the 6th. I was there for the grand opening of PV Mart as well, cutting the barbed wire. And then tonight's council meeting.
Okay. Thank you all for what you do. I attended the July 4th press conference with Premier Kenny, announcement on what the new displaced Ukrainians or Ukrainian nationals can expect, and it was pretty simple. They just can qualify like any other Albertan for some of the programs that are out there. So they didn't try to reinvent the wheel there. So it was good. He did bring up a couple of things that they were taking a look at some of the capital projects that municipalities have and some of the cost overruns because of the shortage in the supply chain and stuff like that. So I immediately went and had a conversation with him about it. And he says, I thought you'd like that. Okay. But anyway, it was nice to see that the province is stepping up and, is offering the same type of services that any Albertan would receive for a limited time with this displaced Ukrainians. the Ledge meeting. I had an economic development meeting on the 6th, meeting some site selectors, and then this one was more than a site selector. We've already been talking to the site selector group a few times about Investment Canada and Alberta government and some other business interests. We're out looking at our new park, and it seems to be the trend right now. A lot of people are looking there, so. I too was in on the July 6th meeting with Minister of Justice, the Solicitor General, Minister Shandro, and I hope he's taking this new portfolio seriously, because whether it's the RCMP or whether it's provincial police, the problem is the criminals, and it doesn't matter who's catching them. Nobody's putting them in jail, and I hope that he understands where we stand with this. So, the grand opening of PV Mart, I want to thank those who showed up. It was a little early in the morning, and but they were very happy. The corporate guys were very happy that we were there, and we even all got a free pair of gloves, so it was nice. So, you did?
Took them right off.
I knew it. I kept mine. On the 8th as well, the Antique Car Day, the proclamation signing, and it was nice to see the local members of our community that support this, and they're out there all the time, and they always come out with a big smile on their face. On July the 11th, I crashed on Councillor Lemko's meeting of the Vegreville Area Stands with Ukraine, and I haven't been to a couple because of some medical issues. It was nice to get back and see what those people are doing. They're doing some very good work there. On the 14th, I had another economic development meeting. On the 14th, I also had a meeting with John S. Patuque Water Commission. And on the 20th, I traveled to Lloydminster to have a meeting with the Minister of Health, Minister Coping. And there were some other mayors and some reeves and some healthcare people. And he recognized the problems that we're seeing right now within the healthcare system. And he understands that throwing money at is not going to fix it, but they are putting another $600 million in right now this year and another $600 million next year. And there was a lot of talk regarding the ambulance service in this province and what needs to be done there. But more than anything is it trying to attract the nurses right now, and healthcare in general is in a bad spot. And to hear from everybody in our region, northeastern Alberta, the different mayors and reeves and stuff that were there, that everybody's experiencing the same thing, and the doctors coming to the rural part of Alberta, it's becoming a big challenge. And he says that he understands and he's listening, and they're putting a plan together. So I'm really looking forward to when they roll that out. And we had a lot of input in. We had some breakout sessions and what we thought was being done right and what needed to be done next. And so he compiled a lot of information, and that was his 5th stop in the province regarding the same topic and the same structure and the format. So the ideas that we brought forward, he had heard some of them before. There was a couple he probably hadn't heard of before, but and then Hemp Field Day on the 21st. I want to thank those who could show up, and Councillor Bullock, I know that you hadn't been to one before, and just to figure out how many different varieties of hemp and how big it can get and stuff. It's amazing. We touch-based, of course, Inca, Renew Tech was there, and then a guy that I hadn't met yet from Blue Skies was there, and good conversations with them. And looks like there's going to be a few more announcements coming in the next little while regarding the hemp and where the industry is going within this province, so it's pretty exciting. And then tonight's council meeting. So again, thank everybody for what they do. I know that we're not as busy in the summer months because we expect to have some holidays and some family time, but we got one more month of just meeting, one ledge meeting and then one council meeting, and then we'll be back to normal. So with that being said, is there any other business of council that I haven't got to?
Just a question.
Sure.
Just because I brought this up the one time, but a few members weren't present. So just given that we're not going to be having as many meetings, there is a deadline of the August 15th for submission if we want to submit as a municipality on the boundary changes. I had a really long conversation with Mayor Albers. They have submitted, and he went over with me in my work capacity, more so what they're submitting based upon, as well as two communities that would potentially come into Lakeland are also submitting, that's Redwater and Gibbons, in opposition of the change. And I'm just kind of wondering if we want to bring our name forward to submit. We obviously don't have to put the package together, but if we are wanting to, we should let them know that we would be submitting. And I think part of that was they wanted to know who would be presenting. So I guess I just want to get everyone's thoughts. We know, obviously, I work within Lakeland, but I'm really bringing this forward just as council completely. Just on my stance, everything that was in a discussion with Mayor Albers was literally some of the challenges that I would see here. And it was a discussion on the fact, primarily that with funding partners and to the fact that we do, whenever we're asked to do anything regional, the partners that we deal with a lot of the times would no longer be in. Historically, when you look at the map, it doesn't seem to make sense the way they're following Highway 16 to just jut out Vegreville. We would be losing portions of partners that are very active, would even have businesses within our community. Many of the communities that we support for provincial programming, including through the education, the recreation, those would all no longer be within our boundaries. And it doesn't really, I had an opportunity to crunch the numbers a little bit more. It doesn't make a lot of sense. I understand that people might feel this is conspiracy to say that it is political. I don't believe it would impact the outcome, but the reason I'd say it seems a little political is because Vegreville coming out is approximately the same population value as bringing in Redwater and Gibbons. So it doesn't really change the numbers in that way a whole lot. So it's not even like you can talk a little bit about what does Lloydminster do versus Fort Saskatchewan in that trade-off. But in this trade-off, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. For a neighboring community of Lloydminster, it really doesn't make a lot of sense because they already face the unique challenge of having a city that is a border city, has two MPs within the same city, two different provincial jurisdictions, and now they're going to add a third MP in. So I guess that's kind of all I put forward, whether we want to consider, saying that we would submit and then kind of going deeper into it. But it's, MP Kirk would be a great representative. This is not about the representative in any way, just about the fact that it seems very strange to me, the communities that are 10 minutes down the road that were housing their students, that were housing their arenas and rec facilities would no longer be within our riding. And I think it would give us a few other challenges. So that's just one thing.
And I want to thank you for bringing that up, and I know you were talking to me about this before, and I sort of let it slide, but does everybody understand where the new boundaries are and how it's going to change? So the traditional partners that we have, that we've shared a lot of, not just experience and trade and stuff, but just who we are, it will be exempt from them. We won't be no longer with them. So I feel that we should write a letter and let them know that we're not happy with stepping out of where we've traditionally been in here. So is there anybody that's against the idea? Okay, then we will we'll get a letter done up. Senator, can you make a note for me to sign the letter that you're going to write?
So one of the things, if we're wanting to present, I'll send Chris all the information because we have to submit to, there's a specific email that we have to go into, and there is actually going to be a consultation held right here in Vegreville at the Pomeroy. So we will have an opportunity to read whatever you present, but I'll just send Chris the information for actually registering to submit then.
Do you know what date that?
Yes, it is, I believe I said September 15th, I believe is the date. I'll double check it though and send it to you guys. So okay. August 15th is the date for submissions, but the consultation is until September.
Okay, I'm not here. I'm going to be in Nova Scotia on that date.
I'll double check it for you though.
But we will pick somebody to go and represent us for sure. Okay. As a matter of fact, maybe we should all go stand back and heckle and, they say, what a squeaky wheel. Okay, well, thank you for bringing that up, and sorry, I forgot about that.
Well, it's one of those weird little things that I thought, we should.
Okay, so there's no other business of council at this time. I'll take a motion to go into closed session. We have 2 items today, so Councilor Barry makes the motion. All those in favor? Carried.